Welcome to the Superfacts Show on the Superfacts Network. Featuring St. Laz, who also hosts the popular web series Gem Pop, and music journalist Mark Walter Ward. They have discussions about hip-hop, culture, society, philosophy, and everything else. Now available on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts. What up, world? It's your boy Mark Walter Ward, Superfacts Show, Superfacts Network. Today we got a Southern pioneer, Southern legend, Baton Rouge's own Young Bleed. How you doing today, brother?
Oh, I'm pretty good, my man. What about yourself?
Man, I'm doing great. Getting ready for this. I hadn't realized that you would put out that Corleone family project, and I just listened to that shit like 3 times in a row. That's some soulful music.
I appreciate that, man. It's half live instruments and everything else technical, but really, it's a throwback series, man, from my catalog, man. We working on a second Corleone family, but we released that project originally in 2004, and through Selecto hits, man. Back to the independent grind, but to rekindle, a lot of people missed that, so I decided to bring it back. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. I mean, Selecto hits was a beautiful thing, but the only problem was like myself, in 2004, I would be in the DC area, right?
Okay.
And that might not have made it to Best Buy, or if it did, it only had like 2 copies. So if I don't get it the first week it's out, the super in tune cats done already copped it, and I don't ever see it. You feel me?
Yep, actually, DC was one of my biggest markets, man. And then in my heyday, and then back to the independent grind, and in particular that record and my vintage record, I went through Selecto hits when I left Priority Records. But saying to say this, it was in my top 5 easy. So
I didn't even know. I thought it was brand new. I mean, it sound right. I mean, because your voice ain't really changed like some artists do over the years, but like musically, topically, like shit. I thought it was. I mean, because when you put things on Spotify, just put the year that you uploaded it. So I thought it was brand new. That shit sound fresh as a motherfucker.
I appreciate that coming from you, man. Actually, I stick to my Corleone script, man. Everything I said I'd do and be from the beginning. It's continuation. Every record I do is a chapter, whether that's a collabo record, whether that's a compilation. I'm adding bits and pieces in my next episode, time capsule wise. So I appreciate that, man. Over time, timeless music, man.
Now, you got a creative approach to things. Is that 4 video series? What a Life, is that the actual movie, or is there a film accompanying it?
Well, actually, we were supposed to shoot 2 extra videos, but we ended up a video guy, a good friend of mine, my man Russ, actually ended up in a different part of the country. I ended up in a different part of the country, and we was able to do like 2 videos for that album in particular. So in time, what I did, for the first time, maybe even in music history, man, one of the all-time favorites off the Balls of My Word on classic album, shouts out to Max Minelli, is the Better Than the Last Time joint. So we have rekindled over the years, and 22, if not 23 years later, just in the last couple of years, we shot a video for an album that was put out in 1998, 20-something years later. And it's like my most recent views, I want to say well over 100,000 views, man, in a couple of months or something like that, somewhere along them lines. So it's a chance that I made, because there's a lot of joints that's on that record that I feel like is missed records, that's banger records. So I just, I'm getting fond of that camera and just learning the same work ethic toward making timeless music is the same as movies and videos and many movies and short film. So you never know. We may pick that up. We get a chance to shoot the other 2 videos, but that's all that was. It was like the first series of singles off of that particular album. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, man. I definitely saw that Better Than the Last Time video. I mean, is dope in its execution. Like you said, I love the concept of shooting a video from a song that long ago, especially what it means about y'all coming together. And I mean, shit, talk about time. I ain't trying to be repetitive, but that's timeless music. I bet if you didn't put 23 years or whatever it was on the video and just played it for somebody, they would think it was some new shit.
New shit, yeah. Everybody that wasn't hip to that album, especially the younger generation, yeah, it's brand new and everybody digging it. I appreciate that.
Hey, you know what I notice about you? Because you know, every time I do interviews, and this ain't the first time I do interviews, I go deep into the discography. And
Yeah.
you know, a lot of artists that came out in the 90s, when you listen to their music, it might not sound dated as far as like their flow or their beat, the choices or whatever, but the
Mhm.
words they use do.
Mhm.
And I noticed that like that's not really an issue with you. And I know that's not nothing you can be thinking of in the moment, but like I just noticed like I never hear you like sometimes. I mean, obviously, like some 80s shit, you might hear somebody talking about a pager or something, but
Yeah.
like I don't know, all your music is like here, now, then, the past, the future. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you picking up on that. Here again, timeless music. I always use this method to the madness. I always go back farther I could think, before I'm writing a verse, writing an album, whatever that is, and just give it that something old, something new appeal. Nothing new under the sun. So it's 360 degrees. Any time frame that you put it in, we live in the same kind of rudiments of life. You know what I mean? For governmental structure, wherever you at on the planet, everybody got struggles. And the one thing I know we all relate to is the universal language, and that being music. So, I'm able to pick from what I call a infinite index, you know what I mean? To where, yeah, I study and do different things, just like being a character in a movie, as well as being yourself and just accumulating all that and mustering it. And when they come out, you can tell different elements in different places. I learned different things, old 70s flicks, movies, and music. And, I study and get into a certain zone. Then I separate from everything and just, listen to the beat and become another instrument of the beat and just put it in the verbiage. You know what I mean? So that's my method to the madness, man. Anything I do.
I like, you definitely got some fly shit, songs, stunting on people and shit. But I also like how you got music talking about like, I'm down to my last. I don't even got a blunt to smoke. Cause
Right.
everybody ain't always up. And sometimes when you down, you want to listen to some shit that's reflective of your reality. Or
Oh, yeah.
sometimes when you up, you want to remember what it felt like,
Yeah, so I'm a blues baby, man. Shouts out to my granddaddy, rest in peace, the original bleed. But yeah, man, he went blind before he left the planet, and I was pretty much his CNI dog, man. So he used to make me play these blues records over and over and over again. As a kid, I couldn't stand it. I was on what was young. I was born into hip hop, so I didn't understand that transition and the roots to the world that we had became. You know what I mean? For us hip hop. So you go back to blues and gospel, you know what I mean? And for black people, what was it? Was African music. So like I said, I trace this back to the heavens. And a lot of people don't, may and may not can coincide with this story of being the devil, being the leader of the music in heaven. So everything that's going on in a wicked spiritual kind of way, I learned over years just off of life experiences and old and young people just grooming me, but in particular my granddaddy with them blues, man. I love the blues to this day. Robert Johnson, Harlan Wolf, Muddy Waters, you name them. Like I said, Louisiana.
Well, I got a bunch of them records behind me. I'm with
Okay,
you,
I
bro.
see you. Yeah, I see you in there looking like a record store, man. I dig that. I'm still old school out the crates, 1200s. You know what I mean? So I was that backroom kid. I was just looking at Beach Street yesterday and explaining to my girl, hey, look, to know anything about me, you gotta look at that, but in a southern way. I was that same kid with two turntables in the back room. The world don't know that, some people, but don't know that side of me. You know what I mean? And put me in the realm of lyricism. Rakim being one of the greatest lyricists of all time in the guard of the game, always been my favorite MC once he came into evolution. And I learned in time that he got turntables. We do other things. I produced a little bit throughout life, produce or co-produce, how you do that there. Shouts out to Happy Perez. Originally we put it together. Beats by the Pound got it later and enhanced it, and that went on into the world. But just in that same same sense of the word, yeah, I'm what I call backroom boys. I'm one of the backroom boys, so I come from out that crates. I still admire that.
Shit, definitely ain't nothing wrong with that. What's shit, man? I got a couple, man. It's always so much to talk to with you because man, you be coming out the cut. Who's this cat unknown on that song "Living"? Homeboy got an original and a nice flow.
Okay, on Living, on the Living album. What's the name of the song in particular off of that album?
It just said Living on Spotify. It said latest single, and it's a song with Unknown, but he got a period in his name.
Okay, I have to hear that joint because you know I did a whole album called Living in 2017. So and I didn't do a song called Unknown.
No, the featured artist is name Unknown.
No. Oh, okay. Well, maybe you I did a single and a video for it called Living Good. Was like the closest, you know, title track thing to the title track. And
it was a video. It was a video.
Okay, well, the guy that's singing on it is by the name of Diamond Dog out of the Detroit area, man. One of my brothers. And
yes, it says Living Unknown UNKN.OWN and Young Bleed single 2021 song called Living. Yeah, that's the genre I was listening to, and Homeboy kind of got like a bone kind of flow a little bit.
Okay, that could be my man IW. Because I got several songs like that with that type of title, Living Up. Shouts out John Chuck at Work Clothes in the Indianapolis area.
Yeah, that was a dope video. I definitely saw the Chucky Work Clothes song. That's what I mean, bro. You got so many. Like, man, I totally forgot, man. That song you got with Big Mike and Mr. 3-2 is jamming as a motherfucker. You talking about songs that need to be revisited, man. I wish the world could, you know, like more motherfuckers need to hear that song.
Oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna keep it catalog and eventually do a greatest hits. Everything I feel the people missing, you know, it's my label Trapdoor Entertainment, so I'm able to, you know, independently put out my own records. And shouts out to the whole family and the whole crew. But I'm gonna rekindle those type of things. Me and Big Mike is working on a collabo record we've been working on for years. We hadn't got to completion, but that's to come in the future. But correction, you know, rest in peace to our brother, and you know, and real live brother with us. You know, up close and personal was Mr. 3-2. Who you talking about is 6'2". From
6'2". I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but all of us are brothers. We all know each other. Here again, rest in peace to 3-2. You know, unfortunately, but we had some records that we was doing in the past that never got off the ground, and due to his demise, that was a real true brother of mine, as well as Big Mike. When you talking 3-2, you talking the Convicts. With Big Mike.
UGK and stuff. Yeah, I got mixed up. Yeah.
Screwed up, clicked the whole nine, man. So all of us is family in this South and throughout the country. You know what I mean?
You know, that's one thing I wanted to ask you about. I was curious, in the 90s, was Screw Tapes big in Baton Rouge?
Oh yeah, man. It's like you had people like Screw, and some people kind of didn't. I want to say more toward maybe past New Orleans, but you know, Lafayette, Lake Charles. You know, I got family in Houston. You know, before I was born and raised. And I've been going to Houston since a baby. So one of my cousins gave me my first Screw tape in like probably about 91 after our grandmother's funeral. And I went down there, hung out with him, and just, you know, sipped and smoked. And I stayed in the car, and really I fell in love with that Screw sound and wouldn't get out the car until I faded out. You know, I love it, you know, you could jam and you ain't gotta move too fast and wear your heart out and all that, and you just fall into the groove of things.
Word.
So anybody that was a screw head, you know what I mean? I became one. Shouts out to the whole SUC, Michael Watts and those guys, as well as OG Ron C, who screwed a record for me recently in November. If you're not hip to that, I did my first EP and on November 6th last year. And had it screwed by OG Ron C. It's called Signs and Wonders. So check that out if you have them both versions. You know what I mean?
Got you. I definitely will. I mean, to be real with you, I saw that, and I was picking between that and the Corleone family, because I picked the Corleone family because it was newest. I would listen to the other one if I know him, but I definitely get him up on Dirty Glove Bastard for you. And yes, in that video, Give and Take, that's where you grew up at.
Yeah, man. It's my first video I directed or / co-directed. Excuse me. I wrote the treatment to that on Priority Records at the time. And, you know, naturally getting the whim of the music business and how different things transpired and how you had to compromise. I had my own vision, you know, being a lyricist in my own right. I never had a ghost writer. I knew what I wanted that video to look like. They give me like 7 treatments, and it was like, nah, way off of what I was talking about. So I said, you know, I asked them to give me a chance to write a script. I had never wrote the script for a video before. And when I wrote it for the first time, they liked it, sent me a director now, a couple of camera guys, and I just took them through Actually, a couple of neighborhoods I grew in particular, South Baton Rouge. I'm born and raised in the Guardia Lane district out there in Baton Rouge, you know, and a few other places that I didn't get to venture to. But in particular, those two spots, I was able to shoot. People came out for me 6, 7 in the morning, and we might have started shooting at about 7 and finished 7 that afternoon in South Baton Rouge. So I didn't, you know.
Had anybody ever done anything like that before there?
Nah, man. Not in particular on that level. You see what I'm saying? BET, you know what I mean? A lot of people say a video like that started BET Uncut because it was so real and not the sense of killing and, you know, all that type of thing that people consider real, but just real people. Nobody was scripted. We didn't do no release forms. That was my community and the people that really loved me and came out and showed support anytime I did anything in the community. So for the first time, yeah, it was a beautiful success, and they played it back and forth on BET Uncut until, you know, eventually BET was taken off of TV or whatever the situation is. But yeah, man, shouts out to Priority Records, man, at that time.
Shit, what was it like having you was messing with Roy Jones record label for a minute, right?
Yeah, that's my big brother Roy Jones, man.
What was that like? Like would y'all go to like the boxing shit and all that and everything?
Well, the thing was, we planned on doing that. I was just getting accustomed to Roy. I met Roy physically a few years later after everybody else. And, you know, in the beginning, you would see Mystical opening up for the fights and eventually Mr. Magic, rest in peace. But that led me directly, rest in peace to here again to my brother, Mr. Magic. We did the original I Smoke, I Drank joint. And he was doing some work or coming off a catch and going into a situation with By the Head and Universal Records and Roy Jones. And once they did the remix, shouts out to the Young Bloods. They did the remix. Lil Boosie was on the original version. They sampled us in the remix and they kept us conjoined. So I, you know, got the opportunity to go down to Pensacola and stay weeks at a time. Roy took care of me like, you know, kings take care of kings, that type of thing. So up until Magic demise, you know, we ran with it. You know what I mean? I forgot the level of the record and where it may have charted. But that was a big record. The video song was the remix, but the original record kind of reminded me of how my original A Fool, or how you do that there, morphed in the streets and bubbled up to that same masterpiece status. That's the same thing that record did. And with Magic and those No Limit guys having a contact with Roy, you know, I learned in time that Roy had wanted to work with me, and we finally had our opportunity to get one-on-one. So we worked out some things. I love Roy's whole family, the whole nine, even the dog Bullet. His dog is my homie. You know what I mean? So
you ever play basketball with him?
No, I ain't never played basketball with him, man. We'll be around each other for a little while. And like I said, we started working on something. He had a box in Pittsburgh some years ago. I forget his name. And I was working on a few records to introduce him coming into the ring. And, you know, I believe Roy got to commentating, you know, between here and cross country. But not cross country, cross the world for that matter. I want to say maybe even Russia somewhere in a lot of movies and all that. So I see Roy and see him when I could. He'd come home for a second, make sure everything was cool, all love, and then, you know, mash back out. So yeah, shout out here again to Roy Jones, man, and Body here for life, man. Yes, sir.
When like you've been on Strange Music, SIBO label, got your own label, been on Priority on your own before No Limit. Did you ever get annoyed with like you've done all this stuff and really No Limit is a minor part of your career in terms of output, if nothing else? Did you ever get okay, go ahead.
In a different way, not cutting you off, adding to it, you know, P was my whole connect to Priority Records on the strength of my big homie C-Lo. So that was the whole origin. I used to sell tapes on the corner. A year or so after that, you know, C-Lo used to be my DJ in middle school, but we never made records, did talent shows, but we had that rap dream, you know, that rap boy dream to come out of, you know, where we was coming from, and separated in our teenage years and got back at the end of our teenage years in life. I might have been about 18, 19, back in the hood. And we'll see each other on the street hustle. But he was doing this thing, I was doing mine. We always hang, was always love. And then eventually he grew into a label, you know, after I was a part of a production label. So that was our underground neighborhood hustle that morphed into a worldwide, you know, industry connect on the strength of Master P. You know what I mean? We was working between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and it, you know, everything was everything at the time, and it was just perfect timing. And it all kind of fell in place when the Body movie was coming out. It was putting out the first concentration camp compilation. That was my first solo joint, other than assisting C-Lo on the first 2 solo C-Lo records. You know, so I was coming up to people didn't know. I was an underground legend as a kid, but just kind of, you know, and on a local level more or less in our city. And, you know, and if I went to Texas sometime in Mississippi, and guys that knew I was coming up. So eventually, yeah, that was the big break. So I just shouts out to Master P and No Limit, man, for having that major connect with me not being directly a No Limit artist, but No Limit family. You see what I'm saying? That got me the that I had. Everything else been back, independent of co-op deals and different things like that when you're talking on West Coast.
Hold on, bro. You on mute for a minute. You went mute, bro. It's all good. He about to get back on. If anybody listening to the audio podcast. Yeah.
But back to that independence, like I was saying, shouts out to Seabo, West Coast Mafia, Roy Jones, Body Hits, Electro Hits. It's just, you know, different things open for me after the fall of Priority Records. You know, what direction.
My bad. My question was gonna be though, like, do you ever, like, when I was trying to find information, because I don't like leaving no money on the table, so I like doing homework. So I wanted to like find out about when you was on Strange Music more, but it seemed like everything I look up, it's only like No Limit questions, and I was curious if you ever get tired of that.
You know, of course, like anybody else living, but it's just like we all get tired of our day job, and this is a lot of people don't consider this, but it's hard work. So naturally, but you adapt to it. You know what I mean? You and the boss might not get along today, but you still got to get your paycheck. So, you know, what's minute and petty, you try to leave that by the wayside and you keep a positive mind and keep straightforward. And so, like I said, with my insight and inside ever since a kid, before labels and all that, it was something, a desire or something that was placed upon me. That's a constant. You know, like I'm sitting in the room, you sit in the room, I keep a microphone around me, Pro Tools and all that, because this is what I do by myself on the strength of God. You know, we all vessels on the vine. So I take what come to me in a divine manner and just continue to go. And I just make a plethora of records, make a project, chop it up, you know, kind of like in that Pac method. Just keep recording. You stay working. You want to eat, you got to stay in the kitchen, stay working, and eventually the avenues are open up for your work. That's how God works. So that's how I take that at the end of the day. But of course, you know, I mean, being human, you know, some things could be annoying, some things is too much. But I try to, you know, stay in that good circumference of good people and business people that got your best interests in heart. And that's, you know, pushing for the right direction, man. So I'm all for that all day, every day.
Nah, I love how you said that you got the you keep the recording equipment around you because, you know, God put the music in you, and if you keep working, the paths will open. And I'm curious, how do you feel now that like this path is open for you, that you moved into not just a musician, but you know, you've assumed a mentorship role with so many musicians. Like how's your son's career going?
Pretty good, slowly but surely. Got a few things going on, man. You know, he do the hip hop and R&B, and he also got.
Oh, I know he can sing. Anybody, man, he can sing.
Yes, sir. You know, that's his thing. That's his first love. But you know, he can rap his ass off. A lot of people rather than rapping than singing, and vice versa. But what he like to do is what I kind of always did. I don't call myself Luther Vandross, rest in peace. But if I feel like humming a note or I wanted to sound in a certain texture, you know, it's singers and guys and girls all around me all the time. You know, it's work, it's the music business, but the industry. But saying it to say this, if I'm feeling a certain way and I wanted to sound kind of, how can I put it? Raspy in that sense, you know, my voice texture always kind of blended my records like that. But he take a little deeper R&B approach. That's his love, and it's a beautiful thing. And but on the other side, you know what I mean? He got a cold rap side. But on the in between, you know, my son, he's out there He's shooting his own videos and working on a mini movie himself. He wears 1,000 hats, you know, as well as myself. A car club, you know, he's the head of by the name of Stangs and Things, like the Mustangs. So, you know, he got a whole car club and a plethora of people that's following his whole movement. So, you know, what more can a father ask for? I'm honored, you know what I mean? Humbled all at the same time. You know,
Man, that's just what I was gonna say, bro. Like, you know, I've taught, you know, I grew up in like DC during the crack era, and I knew about over policing and all that shit. I mean, I've been to the penitentiary, but I knew about all that shit before they was talking about it before it became hip to talk about it. And I raised my kids, you know, to be open-minded and not be on none of that bullshit and realize that a lot of things ain't what they look like. And, you know, even how to deal with police, because shit, don't get twisted, police kill white people too. But
yes,
but like, and then I see them go into the world and have open hearts, and I feel, you know, I know you're supposed to be humble, but like you said, you're honored. I'm honored that they took that I was able to instill that in, and I'm curious, like, do you have a feeling like that, seeing him like yourself having so many different hats and hustles?
Oh man, yeah, it's tears for me. You know what I mean? Minus the man pride. You know, he did a song. I forget the name of the song, but he's talking about not just being my son, but being a fan of my music too, and talking about, you know, it's a true life story. And we had some hard times, rough when I was dealing and all that. He was just born like in '91. So imagine that. You know what I mean? I still was on my street hustle and all that type of thing, doing what I had to do to take care of him. And he witnessed a few things. You know, they grow up quicker than you could imagine, and what you try to keep getting. You know, he walked up on a lot of stuff, and I had to explain to him at an early age. So to see him come out a man, he'll be 30 years old. God say the same this year. So yeah, I'm humbled, and like I say, it's tearing to hear that. It's like when you're looking at the Godfather 3 and Michael Corleone's son singing his favorite joint, it brings tears to you. But that's a part of you that's alive, and everything you could ask for is right there. That means your life and your work is not in vain, and you good credit with your kids. You know what I mean? And he being my firstborn.
Nah, bro, I want to salute you for that, because, you know, there's a lot of people that's a lot less famous than you, that made a lot less money than you, that they ignored their kids while they out there chasing that you know, that fame drug. You know, so that's commendable, man. Like that's what's up.
Yeah, spoken like a true gentleman. I appreciate that. You know, in this life come with that struggle. I didn't have my ins and outs with all my kids and just do the travel. I try to make sure they somewhere safe, and, you know, from the house on out, that type of things. I done had to leave on tours and leave. And I lived in Virginia for about a year. You know what I mean? So it's separatism. I love my whole entire family that supported me and looked out for my kids and different things when I wasn't around. So yeah, that's an humbling experience. Like every other daddy, you don't never want to leave the house, want to have enough to stay right there and be at their every beck and call. But sometimes, you know, what me and all my kids discuss is, even though y'all come, a part of me is in y'all, a part, you know, part of y'all come from me. You still have your own life, individual purpose at the end of the day. Nobody holds each other's hand for 24 hours and sit there and wait to see what you can't live like that. It's a path that God has for us all. So at certain times, just like a mother bird and a papa bird, you got to leave the nest to go do what you got to do. And from that, sometimes the kids, you know what I mean? It grow them in a quicker way. I was a kid that grew like that. So to see it back, it's reflection for me. And it cancels some of your worries. You know what I mean? We had the fears, like you say, they go out in the world open-heartedly. And if you don't keep it real with children and tell them what's real in the world, they don't know how to cross the street. And that's how you have those type of accidents. So to have that, for them to survive and live through a lot of what we all have been through, and to stand up, and all of my kids, you know, the world know my son at this point, but I have daughters that's phenomenally talented, and you know what I mean, the baby boy that's already talented at 6 years old, you know what I mean? So I see my DNA structure and my reflection. So I sit back and I'm, you know, more or less growing up and older. And like you say, in the leadership fashion, I try to teach the class and teach them what I know, and where I can help them, give me a call, or you know what I mean? We pull up or whatever we need to do. You know, 4 of my kids is grown other than my baby boy. So in that sense, that's a vision that I had a long time ago going with this. So I started trying to build a foundation for that type of thing ever since I was a kid. So to see it at an early age is no surprise to me, but a blessing at the same time. So yeah, I'm humble and here again, honored. I can't ask for no more, you know what I mean?
No doubt. You know, I know a lot of people probably don't know about Lil Boosie being your cousin, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm curious, were you aware of, like, around the time that Pimp C was he like coming to Baton Rouge to start the Trill Entertainment? Like, do you know what was up with that? I was always curious how, like, it was these people who went on to become Baton Rouge legends, but their first album was Pimp C Presents.
well, I'll give you some of the real rudiments of Pimp C, and that was my dear brother, you know what I mean? As well as Bonds, you know, UGK for life. But Pimp C really from Crowley, Louisiana. You see what I'm saying? Real true country boy that's gonna come backwards in the backwoods and pick up those artists. A lot of artists from Mississippi, rest in peace to E. Vicious from Opelousas, Louisiana, that was part of lesser known groups, not being lesser groups, but lesser known groups as far as on that international scale, unless you was just into that whole thing. But Pimp was a guy that'll do that in Bond as well. So I believe they was pretty much the voucher. You know, we say trio, but trio is a Texas term. You see what I'm saying? Pimp from Crowley into PA into Houston and so on and so forth, and becoming the ultimate, at the very least, a Texas legend for life. You know what I mean? And, you know, worldwide phenomenal. Don't get me twisted.
Right.
But at the very least, we always start from the house on out. So yes, of course, him and Bond was the voucher to even have a trio, I believe. And me, and shouts out to Turk and Mel is brothers of mine as well. So we all, Mel introduced me to Pimp, Turk introduced me to Bond. You see what I'm saying? And we have been reaching at each other over the years. If I was in Lafayette doing the show and they heard I was down the street, I remember these things years ago. When they was, you know, up above me, but still coming up as far as the overall industry that wasn't familiar with a UGK, I get a message. Those guys sent for me to come party with them. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So eventually we met in life, and all the way to Pimp demise, we had plans. I was finna sign with Pimp, and different things like that. Me and Barney see each other, and it's all love and all love a little bit more. And that sense connected with Pimp for the plans that we had for us doing records. Pimp offered me to produce my own, and I can say that now, for about 10 grand. At the time I was on Priority Records, the song Time and Money, right? When Pimp moved to Atlanta, Too Short was out there. So I ended up doing that record with Short. We was trying to put Pimp on the last verse. But at the time, Pimp was like, Bleed, I record the whole record for you for 10 grand. If I done knew what I knew now, and especially up until his demise, you know, I ain't gonna say I necessarily had, you know, that's a nice record and phenomenally known and to the world, and some people's favorite record in comparison to Balls in My World. But think about that, you know, for what they charge to produce one track now. Pimp C offered me to produce a whole album for $10,000. And I wish that at the sense, maybe I would have did another album, but that was an offer I couldn't refuse. But I was just starting the tour, just getting on Priority, really touring Balls in My Word, recording my own at the same time, preparing for the next release. So at that fast rate and time, me and Pimp met in Atlanta one night physically. We were talking on the phone, rest in peace to Mama West as well. She'll put us together, you know, as far as deal structures and different things that we was working on, and, you know, as far as access to the game. But we met physically one night on a tour with Priority. It was and they bought an MJG as my bros too. When they was doing the solo thing, the No More Glory tour for him, I was a part of that. In that, you know, when I went to Atlanta on a 2-week run with Priority.
Damn, that must have been nice, bro. I fucks with that album. I know exactly what, with the Confederate flag on the cover, right?
Flag on it, yes, sir. So,
yeah, that shit go hard as hell. That must have been a fun tour.
Oh yeah, man. Well, really, I didn't do that whole tour. Just we had the same venue that night. I was doing a tour, I guess, kind of coming that direction, going a separate way. I think we might even meet to Carolina or something the next day. But that's how fast Pimp off. The night I met him face to face, he said, "Please, I gotta never forget this." And I don't think I ever said this nowhere, but he said, "Bleed, I got beats, freaks, sweets, and dro in the freezer. Let's go in the house, go to the house and record." I say, "Pimp, I love to come to the house." When he first moved to Atlanta, we was in Atlanta. And I said, "I gotta be in Carolina, South Carolina, something like that in the morning." We was doing the driving. So I had to take off right after the club, so I didn't get a chance to go and record with Pimp. The only thing I say this, that we can move on, recording you a half of me and Pimp C, and without his verbiage. I just give him a record before he passed away. Him and Sibo was just working on the collabo record that I was going to be affiliated with. And of course, I was finna sign with UGK Records or Woodwheel Records. So we was negotiating all this. But saying I could say this, the only record you have is On the Balls of My Word, to Bring the Noise record that he produced originally for the 504 Boys or either Mystical. And I came in the studio the night before Pete turned my record in for hard, and I had to substitute 3 or so songs on the record. And that was one of the records that I listened to that had an open third verse. And Pete was like, "You like that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you can have it." And he gave me that record, and I didn't know till later that Pimp C had produced that track. But that's the only thing you'll have in life, record in life you'll have with Pimp C and Young Bleed. Shouts out to Mystical and Master P on that record as well. But to Bring the Noise song, Pimp C production.
Damn, I know that song. I ain't know Pimp produced that. I know Pimp produced a lot of shit for Sleepy Brown that people ain't aware of. Is jamming like a motherfucker. I mean, he definitely gets his credit as a producer, but I feel like people don't realize how much outside production he did.
He did, and man, and still, like you say, records popping up. I didn't know everything that he did. I knew him and Outkast. You know, me and Outkast is cool. You know, shouts out to Big Boy and Drake, Killer Mike, the Goody Mob. You know what I mean? So we all family somewhere down the line, and we have connected. It's a lot. It's more going to underground than what you see at the surface. So I could imagine. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, Long for the World, New Pimp, and and him singing on the hooks and all that on the big mic having
things. Yeah,
it's Pimp C produced records, man. You'll be surprised.
No doubt. Shit, is the Baton Rouge music scene pretty unified? What's that like? Because I definitely see it's a lot more people coming from Baton Rouge now, like a lot, like, and cats that got serious numbers on their videos and all that.
I say it like this: clicks and crosses. You know, we know the story of and not putting no names and pointing no fingers at nobody, but since all what been taking place, from the Boosie situation before Angola and all that up into NBA Youngboy, he a distant cousin on the other side. My son actually, I went to school with his mother, and we know each other, but I hadn't met him. And every time they try to bring us together in Baton Rouge within the last few years, these type of things, we get close to each other, but we hadn't formally met. He came to my kids on their mother, but yeah, for whatever reason, all those murders and different things like that going back and forth, it kind of got the city kind of separate. You see what I'm saying? You see a pack of guys over here and they doing good, pack of guys here. You know what I mean? I'm from South Side, bottom Baton Rouge, the bottom of South Baton Rouge. So when you're talking BBG, that's bottom boy gangsters. I mean, bottom boy gorillas. TBG, you know what I mean? Rest in peace to G Money. And Boulevard, Quick, all them guys. I run with Boulevard Quick Daddy. So the OGs, they the generation under us, and that's what's taking place in our city. TBG is top boy gorillas. That's my whole hood, the bottom of South Baton Rouge and the top, and I grew in both. You see what I'm saying? So as an OG, I say what I could say when I could say it, but a lot of that is not personally directed to me. But like a true OG,
right.
If I can put some ice or water on the fire and do that, that was my life dream since 1983, before some of them was born and was taking place in the city. But, to each his own at the end of the day. I get love and respect from all the fashions, but I try to stay out there quarrels, you know what I mean? That type of thing. But other than that, yeah, that's the latest and, hard and, and almost hateful to say far as my city right now. But everybody else, there's a few other fashions that's working, and we're trying to keep that unity in the community. So hopefully one day everything will blow over and we can get back to us, you know what I mean?
I hope so. Like, I know it's like a horrible history of racism and just terrible things, but Baton Rouge is a beautiful city, and the musical history, like just not just a rap, is I feel underserved, like people ain't aware, like they should be. So yeah, that would be a beautiful thing. Hopefully, the first step to unity usually seems to be helping people get out of poverty.
The whole method to the madness. My dream as a kid I looked at what was dysfunctional in my family, what was dysfunctional in my elementary school, the walk home and all that. I could tell you a million stories, and gun toting and shooting before 10 years old. You see what I'm saying? It's off the survivor. So it always kind of been that way. And my essence, whole thing for is becoming a rapper or something of that success level to be able to build myself in a manner where I can come back and help make some changes. So I've been working on that 37, going on 38 years since 1983, since my penmanship, since a 9-year-old fourth grader. You
Hey,
know,
to kind of change the subject real quick, that man, that you just said something real interesting to me. You know, in the 90s, the late 90s, rappers were kind of looked at as, because like you just now you justified gun toting when you were 10, but I understand, like,
yeah.
you know, it was like that where I was at. Sometimes people got to do what they got to do to survive. And in other countries, they're called soldiers. If they're black in America, they're called felons. But I mean that's neither here nor there. And like I also see that you're very self-reflective. So I wonder, like at the height of your career, when a rapper just in general was considered immoral, did you ever dwell on like, damn, all these motherfuckers is judging me and they don't know shit about me, where I'm from, my motivations, none of that?
Right. I used to watch, I remember I don't want to pinpoint what magazine, but somebody had an article that I never forget. And that year, you know, I debuted Gold, Devin the Dude album came out and went gold, and somebody was talking about us, not in the comparison, but saying how the stories was all but comical or make believe. It was reality. You know, we laugh back like this. It is. We laugh to keep them crying. You know, you got to have a sense of humor out here. So I was, you know, stumped by the police. Black cop held me for the white cop. Bloody once I got my deal. Like Mac 10 say, I was in a parish prison when I had a gold record. You see what I'm saying? By the harassment. I have been pulled over 1,000,000 times by the cops. Just riding in the middle of the night, you know what I mean? Taking a girl, you know what I mean? Whatever, just not on no bogus and doing nothing. It's, you know, I had a 65 all white drop top Cadillac, was unusual, and other guys got nice cars, but I was harassed all the time. And the more they keyed in on me being a rapper, they stomped the blood out of my face. Broad daylight in front of a church, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, took pictures of me and went around the city in the jailhouse saying, "This y'all boy bleed." You see what I'm saying? I barely mentioned that in the beginning of my career. Johnny Cochran was still alive. I didn't have that lawyer. I had another lawyer. I lost the case and spent the week in the parish prison. And I never swung a blow. You know what I mean? So I fought the case, you know, and to no avail. When you're dealing with Louisiana politics, you know, ain't nobody lying when they talking about that. We still old school Napoleon law, you know what I mean? Since the Louisiana purchase.
Huey Long and all that shit. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Huey Long, Huey Newton. Huey Newton left, you know, not from Baton Rouge, but from Monroe, Louisiana, you know, the origin of the pound.
Bill Russell too, right?
I didn't know Bill Russell was from Louisiana. You telling me something new there?
But I could be tripping, but please continue.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but just saying that since then, if you know, they say anybody stayed in the South was too ignorant or too scared to leave. You know, when the Great Migration came and the Great Depression back in those days, years before our time. So when you look at a lot of OGs gonna tell you from California to New York, and our grandmothers from the South. We know that as Black folks, if you know American history. You see what I'm saying? So that part of it, man, yeah, I was always a part of those politics. My granddaddies and them grew up fighting the police there, different things, and uncles. So we grew with the same police precinct in the neighborhood. So in a Duke boy kind of way, you inherit what your family inherited for whatever reasons that your community inherited. And you're guilty by affiliation, rather you doing something or not. You know what I mean? So I had those type of things of becoming that guy at the time. The police took a lot out on me, you know what I mean, in that sense, and I'm sure anybody else, but I always had those kind of run-ins until it got that.
But like, what about like, because I know you did like MTV, maybe not specifically MTV, but I know you was doing like media tours, media runs, and like, you know, I witnessed some of them shits. I was a fan then. I go to them shits, and you know, like I ain't really go to school with too many white people until I went to a Black college. But white people would be real comfortable talking around me. And sometimes I be at them events and I hear some of the shits they say about them rappers, you know, and it be just some real ignorant, foul shit. And like I was wondering, like I said, again, you being so self-reflective and also aware of what's happening, like did that shit ever get to you, like just automatically getting judged by your profession? Because you already in the 90s getting judged by your skin color and the fact your hair, you know, automatically your hair made you a criminal. You know what I mean?
Imagine this. And you imagine being in your mama front yard at 2, 3 in the morning on your knees with a shotgun to your chest, and it's 7 sheriff, and nobody come outside. You see what I'm saying? I've been in my mama front yard with the police following me in the dark, and I refuse to stop in the dark, mad because I'm close to her neighborhood, just riding to go to Waffle House somewhere to get something to eat in the morning. I'm a grown man. It's free society. You know, I ain't doing nothing, and no criminal acts at this time, due to the fact that, you know, I'm on priority record. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But I see a lady in my mother front yard, face down, like this first, lay down. Until they figured out, hey man, I was that kid that just stomped the blood out of a couple of weeks ago. Sheriff picked me up, told the other sheriff go ahead, and he dropped all but 1 charge, running the stop sign and stuff. So I didn't know this. He was a cool older white man. And he just was, you know, whatever they was on that night, they followed me again. Yeah, I can't count the time. You know what I mean? My parents had like a red Corvette like Prince, Cadillacs, and stuff like that. So ever since I was a kid, I've been driving since 10 years old. I had that kind of pops. My father's from Baton Rouge. My pops was a man from Ninth Ward, New Orleans. So I'm raised by a New Orleans man. My granddaddy died in a New Orleans Veterans Hospital. He was a World War II veteran. When I was
you talking about the original bleed?
Yes, sir. Yeah, World War II veteran.
Man, so I remember you telling me about him, bro. He had the nice hands.
Yeah. Good to bleed you, man. They used to call him good bleed, but he was good to bleed you. If you got into it with him, you know, from the hands to the pistol play, broad daylight. If he gonna do it, like I say, the police, nothing to stop him. Stand up man and real serious principles, even when he was blind. So at the breakup time, my mother and father, you know, I spent a lot of time with my granddad, and he gave me a lot of real grown old man knowledge. And keeping in mind, I'm less than 10. He was already in his 50s. You see what I'm saying? So it gave me a little older school. And my pops raised me like this, from the Ninth Ward. He say, man, you can't really hang with guys. You can, but guys your age are younger than you because they don't know no more than you. They know about the same shit. You got to hang with, you know, older men. So I always hung with my pops, my grandpops, my dad, and my uncles. You know, I ran with my young homies, big cousins, and all that. So I was given so much game and so many survival skills from war veterans, that type of thing. So it made me a certain way for a survival. Like you say over here, you're considered a soldier. One of my uncles told my pop this. He said, you know, my nickname is Tank. You know, my family gonna call me that. You know, ever since I was born. My granddaddy named me that based off of World War II and said my mother's stomach looked like an army tank, an Abrams tank. And if she had a son, that's what his nickname would be. So the rest is history. But my uncle was describing to my pops. My pops was like to save me out the streets and justify my life and give me some kind of financial foundation versus, you know, what I was doing. He would try to tell me to go to the military. My granddaddy didn't really share those war stories. He taught me different other things and more or less stay away from that. So I always will have that confrontation. But my uncle ended up being the bridge between that gap and say, hey man, you know, Tank is military, but he's street military. So what you said earlier, I appreciate that. But that's the same way my uncle was describing, yeah, out here, man, yeah, he's street military.
Man, I don't know if you remember what you told me about your grandfather, but I'll never forget. Like there's like a few things out, all these things I've done, and they stand out. And you told me that because the reason I know about him is because I asked how you chose your name, and you told me off him, and you said that you told him in a room that when he was blind that you was gonna get a record deal, and when you got a record deal, that was the proudest you'd ever been because you kept your word.
Yeah, but when I told him I would be a rapper and I would own a record company one day.
Yeah, there you go.
And there it is. You see what I'm saying? So everything I wouldn't trade or change nothing. You got to go through something to get something. And yeah, you know, I walked through the valley of the shadow of death. I would feel no evil. If it wasn't the heart of those men and those soldiers, I wouldn't know how to be a man. So it all go back to the OG. I tell everybody this. God is the original OG. If you spell his name backwards, if you're just saying God, rather, whatever your religion, but God alone is enough for me. Spell it backwards, it's D-O-G, man. He D-O-G, the original. So it go back to that, nothing new under the sun. So I follow them supreme mathematics, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for starters. But God over all, man. And if when things are out of order, it's gonna stay out of order or fall more out of order. But if you align yourself so you can be in so much agreement with God, he in agreement with you. So I try to follow that and trickle on down. Big.
And anybody who's listening to that and they dismiss it because they're not religious, just substitute the words positive energy, and that's the best advice you'll ever get in your life.
Yeah, look, and minus the religion, man. I'm not prejudiced to none, but saying that to say this, I watched this program one night, and it's like watching Peter pop off of one of those guys, but it was might even been a small, if it was a church, but it was like a seminar, and I wish I probably wrote this down and lost the notebook over time, but saying to say this, if you remember the old school projectors, or when they had
like the shit they bring in our class in elementary school.
Yes.
And so pull the shit down in front of the blackboard. Oh yeah, I remember that, bro. I'm in my 40s. Shit, I know.
Okay, you right there with me. So check it out. He pulled the lit board down and he drew a circle. And he say, man, I'm not gonna talk to you as religion. He pulled up the word inspiration. And he said in the word inspiration, it says in spirit. So I'm gonna talk to you in spirit. And he drew a big circle and said, imagine this circle, like a whole, it's a pie, it's a whole pie. And he drew, the piece of cut land and sliced it, the slice out the pie. He said, this circle is God, and we're a part of it. You take a piece out of it and put it over here, it's the same. You see what I'm saying? We come from the same heavenly Father. So minus whatever your religion is, at the end of the day, we all pray up, all cultures of people, all 7 continents. We all pray to them skies, whether God, UFOs, or what you want to reconcile is God is something greater than man. We still don't know how we ended up on the planet, trying to figure where we come from. So you have to humble yourself and bow your head in that sense. When you look at the planet and how vast space is, like we on a flat ground, flat earth. You see what I'm saying? Everything is 360 degrees. And the sun, the moon, if you can see some of the planets, everything, that's in a circle. So the earth has to be. Right? You left the planet in a rocket ship and able to look back for yourself. All we know is what we see on TV and satellites, so they say. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's something greater than us. So I take no credit for myself, and I give all glory to God all the time. And so far, so good. I just turned 47 years old, man. So I'm honored, humbled to here again, grateful, man, and blessed to be here. I have grandkids nowadays. I didn't think I'd live that long. My parents didn't at a certain time, due to how reckless I was living before 20 years old. I was a father at 17. So imagine that, you know what I mean? So that type of thing, growing up with a rap dream and it's not being New York or California later on to have a break. So it was a right time, right place. When Master P came along, Loc was doing what he was doing, and I was already being prepared years before that. So when the time and the opportunity came, I was ready. You know what I mean?
Man, I can't end it on no better, man. That's the best I couldn't, man. Yeah, definitely, brother. That's profound. Before we get out of here, what should they be looking for right now? What are you promoting, and what's the best places to find you on social media and your music? Okay. And to get them dope ass shirts.
Okay, the shirts. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna hit you to a few things. But trying to stay right there. The shirts, man, y'all go to trapdoorent.com. That's the labels on website, so on and so forth. The shirts is there. I got my own looker now, y'all. It's called
okay, Speakeasy.
Yeah, Speakeasy, man. It's 80%, pure vodka. It's a smooth vodka. You get your hands on it, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. But they'll be on the sites eventually, and as well as a lot of other merch and tour dates. We building and rebuilding. So Trapdoor Entertainment. What else I was trying to say to you before I forget? Your lot came to mind when you asked me that. Pretty much that. Anybody as far as Instagram, man, y'all, to tap in with me. Go to the Real Young Bleed on Twitter. It's @Real Young Bleed, and Facebook is Young Bleed fan page. So, you know, I'm on, you know, I work those circuitries every day, you know, shouts out to the whole fam at Trapdoor Entertainment. So we got a lot coming. This what I'm trying to say in particular. We talked a lot about God in this interview. And I mentioned the prequel to that, the Signs and Wonders record I put out 2020, November 6, 2020. But it's a prequel to an album that I'm getting ready to release called There Is a God, a D-I-G, dig, you know what I mean? And I let the picture, I had a phenomenal real life, no Photoshop picture with the eyes in the sky, man. I was in St. Louis and went under the ark and took a picture. And when you see the cover, man, it speaks for itself. So it's the first time I'm doing the record. It's still rough street hardcore like me, but I'm describing more or less like I always did in a trial and tribulation situation. But for the first time in life, I'm not cursing on the record. You see what I'm saying? But still dope beats, you know what I mean? It's a phenomenal record. So y'all get ready for that. There Is a God. If you're not up on the latest at Trapdoor Entertainment, it's 20 artists under the umbrella. Shouts out to my son here again, Taji Ramon, Zam Two Turned, the Younger Gang. Who am I missing? You mentioned the Carleone Family album was released, the Family Business record. All that been released since November 6th. Free my man Big B out there in Bastrop, Louisiana. And, from Big Weight Entertainment, I re-released the album called Off the Curb that we introduced his first artist by the name of Freeze out the Monroe, Louisiana that's area. That's a dope album too as well. I'm trying to think of what else.
Oh, okay. For the record, I did look it up. Bill Russell is from Monroe, Louisiana.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, you telling me something. Wow, that's crazy. A lot of people. But to add to it, Baby Nelson out the Kansas City, Missouri area. We just dropped his record on Game Time, as well as a few singles by Baby Jack out of Monroe, Louisiana. So at least about 5 to 7 artists I may just have mentioned, but it's all there on the Trapdoor page. Everybody else is prepping their records, so we got a lot going into the rest of the year, into the next year. So y'all stay tuned to Trapdoor Entertainment. That's what it do.
All right, well, shit. Mark Walter Ward, Super Facts Show, Super Facts Network. Young Bleed, thank you for your time, brother.
I appreciate you, Mark, man. Much love, peace, and blessings, bro.
No doubt, man. I'll check in with you down the road, man. You too.
Okay, have a good one.
You too. Take a light.
Yes, sir.